What is up? It's your boy Blaine Fontaine, and we're going to go into yet another top 10 budget bombs. Getting straight into it, number 1 is Fangren Marauder. For 5 and a green, you get a creature beast. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you gain 5 life. Also, it's a 5/5. Neat. So this basically says that any time any artifact goes to any graveyard, you gain 5 life for each and every one. Be those anything from soul rings to treasures. Ooh, if you have treasures in your deck, Fangraven should be in there if you're green, because it is 5 life per treasure. That's not just yours, it's your opponent's too. Especially if you can pair this with a way to destroy all artifacts the second it comes in. That is like so much life. It's a bit costly at 6 mana, but I think it pays for itself with even 2 triggers. Here's one that I suggest a lot. Tome of Legends. For 2 colorless, you get an artifact. Tome of Legends enters the battlefield with a page counter on it. Whenever your commander enters the battlefield or attacks, put a page counter on Tome of Legends. Tap 1, tap it, remove a page counter from Tome of Legends, draw a card. Should know by now, I love cards that draw me cards, because I like seeing more of my deck, which is awesome. This is a fantastic card for any deck that has its commander enter a lot or attack a lot. That's maybe not blue. Actually, maybe. The fact that this gives you a very consistent line of card draw every single turn for 1 mana, it's just a very phenomenal effect. Yes, you can only do it once per turn unless you're tapping this, but that's still 1 every single turn. At instant speed, you have nothing else to do with your 1 mana, draw a card. It is very much worth it if you are playing an aggressive deck, especially one that doesn't have blue or any good card draw color. Speaking of cool consistent card draw, you have Takacia's Welcome. For 2 and a green, you get an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures with a mana value of 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Now I hear you say, oh Blaine, this only triggers once each turn, it must suck, you only get 1 card a turn. Yeah, that's each turn. So if you have a way to make a token creature, doesn't care if it's a token or not, on each player's turn, that's a free card every single turn. That's 4 cards a rotation. I am all over that. And even if you're just blinking them in on your opponent's turns, it's just like White Main Lion is a good example. Just like anything where you can put in a creature each turn makes this thing value. Hell, even if you're getting 1 a turn, now you just have a Phyrexian Arena that you're not hurting for. Now we have Rally the Ancestors. For X white, you get an instant. Return each creature with converted mana cost X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Exile those creatures at the beginning of your next upkeep. Exile Rally the Ancestors. Another thing I love a lot is Mass Reanimation, and the fact that this does it at instant speed and can reanimate your entire graveyard as long as you're paying the highest mana value of creatures in your graveyard, especially good for low curve decks. And as long as you have a sack outlet, like let's say a Viscera Seer for instance, you can then sack them all with your upkeep trigger on the stack, and you get to keep them for all the way until your upkeep, because it only triggers on your upkeep, not the next upkeep. Also the ability to just like someone swings at you and you just reanimate your entire graveyard and you block ETBs, death triggers. It is a really good card in Aristocrats or in Blink strategies, because if you're able to blink them all in, they come back, the upkeep trigger isn't there anymore, they're new instances of the card. Definitely check this out. Here's a criminally underrated card, Death Render. For 4 colorless mana, you get an artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. Whenever a equipped creature dies, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield and attach Death Render to it. So, for 2 mana, you equip this to something you're going to sack, or it's going to die anyway, like a Sakura Tribe Elder. Sack it, get your value at instant speed, slap in your best creature, and equip Death Render to it. Or, if you just have a bunch of ETB or death triggers, with a sack outlet, you can go through your entire hand. Sack a dude, put in a dude. Sack a dude, put in a dude. Sack a dude, put in a dude, etc. Just dump your whole hand on the battlefield and sack everything in there. Get all your death triggers, your ETBs, and that's one of the worst things you can do with it. Because honestly, just like even just once a turn, equip this for 2, sack a thing, put it in, and then you have another thing you can sack to something, equip it to that, sack that, put it in. As long as your commander's not 2, or as long as the creature you're putting in is not 2 or less mana, you're making profit each time. So I would definitely check this out, especially in aristocrat strategies, or even just big dumb creature strategies. Oversold Cemetery is an enchantment for 1 and a black. Beginning of your upkeep, if you have 4 or more creature cards in your graveyard, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This card is extremely good mid to late game. It's for a low price of 2 mana, you're able to effectively draw the best creature from your graveyard every single turn. If that creature has some form of self-sacrifice effect, like a Fleshbag Marauder, you can just put itself back in the graveyard and you can take it out next turn. This card is extremely versatile, and honestly, especially if your deck cares about them being cast from your hand, like Cadena or Henzi, this is where it really shines. I would think more people should be playing this card, honestly. Like, even if you're not playing it in a deck that mills itself to get the 4 creatures in there quickly, 4 creatures will hit the graveyard naturally if you're a creature deck. You should be running this in a creature deck anyway. I'm going to cheat and put 2 right next to each other. Aetherize is 3 and a blue instant. Return all attacking creatures to their owner's hands. And Aether Spouts is 3 blue instant. For each attacking creature, its owner puts it on top or bottom of their library. The reason I'm pairing these together is because they are nearly the same card, and redundancy is always a good thing to have in your deck. This is the closest thing blue's ever going to get to a fog, and the fact that this bounces them to your hand instead of targeting, it does no targeting, means that it gets around hexproof, indestructible, protection from blue even. Like, nothing matters on your card because there's nothing in the game that prevents itself from being bounced, at least yet. So this is a 100% guaranteed, if they attack you, they're not going to connect, unless they counter it, of course. Bonder's Enclave is the first land I've put in this list. It is tap for a colorless, and then tap 3, tap it, draw a card. Activate this ability only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. This isn't super exciting, I'll admit, but the fact that this comes in untapped, you can tap for a colorless, and it can just net you a card each turn if you have nothing better to do. This should definitely not be your top priority, is activating this each turn, because with the 3 it costs and itself is basically 4 mana draw card, and that's pretty But if you're a reactionary deck and you have nothing better to do, you can activate it to draw a card. And even if your commander is just power 4 or greater, this is a fantastic way of, like, let's say you're playing a Chroma or something that doesn't have very good card draw, then this is an easy way to get consistent card draw. Being our very first legendary creature on our list, we have Thada Adel Acquisitor. For 1 blue, you get a 2/2 legendary creature Merfolk Rogue Island Walk. Whenever Thada Adel Acquisitor deals combat damage to a player, search that player's library for an artifact card and exile it. Then that player shuffles their library. Until in a turn, you may play that card. As with every legendary I will put on this list, I am not recommending them as a commander. I am recommending them as a card in the 99. They just happen to be legendary. The fact that this card has evasion, sort of, it gives island walk, which means that if an opponent controls an island, they cannot block it. You are able to smack someone and steal their soul ring, at worst. At best, you can take away one of their combo pieces. Let's say they're playing an Ashnod Altar shenanigan sack deck. You can hit them, exile the Ashnods, and not even cast it, just leave it in exile, that way they can't have it. Plus, having access to looking at your opponent's entire deck is always helpful because you're able to see what combos they can and cannot do. Like I said, even if you're just hitting each player once and getting all their soul rings, that's just really valuable. Thank you so much for checking out my 5th budget bomb video. The reception on these videos has been fantastic. Honestly, blows all my other videos out the water, but I still want to try something new every time and really just find my niche. So thank you all for supporting me. If you liked any of the cards, comment down below what was your favorite, and like, subscribe, you know all that jam. Have a wonderful day.